And I'm going to share with you today 3 systems that successful people use to achieve more of their goals. Why? Because successful people want to get more of what they want and less of what they're given. So get your pen, get your notebook, and let's get ready to help you achieve more of your goals. Let's get started. Hey, so welcome everyone. I've already got a few people in the chat room, so that's awesome. Carol from overseas. How you going, Carol? Great to have you here. Who else is there? Hey, New Zealand. On holidays still? I'm not sure. Working. Great to see you. But yeah, look, by all means, share where you're from, what you're doing, and what you'd like to get up to. Today's session is for you, and we're going to talk about goal setting and 3 simple systems that successful people use to achieve all their goals. Okay, so some of them you may have heard before, but I guarantee what you're going to get today is a set of systems that are really going to simplify things for you. Okay, so let's start. First is the 5-step system. Okay, so I'll write it up on the board in a second. Then we're going to go through smarter goals. And then we're going to also use the rule of 100, the checkpoints. So for those of you that haven't read the book, The 5 Systems of Successful People, I talk about the rule of 100 and its checkpoints. And today we're going to use that in goal setting. Okay, what else we got here? Another little chat. So hi everyone. Welcome to I'll try to not watch the chat as much, okay, because I'll try to stay focused on this. But by all means, chat amongst yourselves, say hi to everyone. More importantly, let everyone know who you are, where you're from, and what you do, because you just don't know where this networking is going to take you today. So welcome everyone. Make sure you got your pen and your notepad ready. So goal setting. So I have a 5-step system that you can use to achieve your goals. Now, first thing is we write it down. Writing down your goals is so important. And why do successful people do it? Because it gets them to crystallize their thoughts. So when you physically go through the action of writing down your goals, you have to think about it a little bit deeper. So it really helps successful people crystallize their thoughts. The next one is to definitely plan out your goals. Think about, what do I need to do to achieve them? Create a mud map. Think about what I need to do. What are the steps that you need to do? And I also have 3 ways of doing that too, but I'll share that with you a little bit later. 3 is tell people. The reason why telling people about your goals is so important, because not only did you crystallize your thoughts with this one, you're now doing that positive affirmation and confirming to other people and yourself that this is what I want and this is what I'm going to do. So telling people is an important part of your goal setting system. 4. Now, speaking of other people, what we need to do is involve other people. So there's 2 ways you can involve other people. You can either have them come along on the journey with you. You might want to achieve the same goal, or alternatively, they might be able to help you achieve your goals. Really important to involve other people. And 5 is action. Action, action, action. So there's the 5-step formula or system that you can use to achieve your goals. And we can dive in and have a bit more of a look at that. The reality is, though, is that most people achieve their goals in reverse order. In other words, it's action involving people, telling people, planning, and writing. Most people achieve their goals acting first. So even if you never wrote down a goal, it's okay, because if you're doing actions towards achieving your goals, that's actually the most important one. That's probably 80% of it right there is action. How you going, Sam? I'll try to keep up with the chat group. Oh, no. Yep, a few other people in there. Hey, great to see you all. All right, so there's really simple system. Now, most people know about writing, so let's have a look and a bit of a deep dive into this. Writing. Now, some people are really big on their vision boards, and I'm a huge fan of that. Although personally, I've never ever used a vision board before. Have I written down the goals before? Yes. In fact, if I show you my workbooks, I've got mud maps of what I want to achieve all the time. In fact, as a company CEO, I was always 2 years ahead in my calendar and working backwards. Because if I couldn't write down what I wanted to be in 2 years' time or what I wanted to have achieved, well, I couldn't actually achieve what I needed to do today. In other words, most of what I had done today was because of what I wanted to be doing in the future. So I was future-proofing myself. So writing down the goals and mud mapping for the future is a huge part of successful people. It's just, it's a bit like a builder turning up for a house who doesn't have a plan, or going on a holiday, turning up to the airport, not knowing which plane you're going to catch. It doesn't happen, okay? Now, the good thing about goal setting is sometimes they can be set for you and you can just take the ride. The example of that is like sports people. So the good thing about sports people is they get told when the Olympics are on. They get told when the grand final is going to be on. Then what they do is they work backwards. So they already have a future plan because someone says, this is the agenda. Okay, so now you're in business and you're talking about it personally. You need to come up with your own season. Okay, you need to come up with your own agenda. You need to come up with your own Olympics. And you need to write that down. Okay, so if you haven't written down what you want to achieve by the time 5 years comes or 10 years comes or even next year, well, you need to start doing that more and more. Okay, it doesn't have to be neat. It doesn't have to be a big master plan. There can be a vision board and put up as many things as you like. So I'm a huge fan of a vision board. Although personally, I never actually used a vision board. I would always write down just on a bit of paper, notebooks, things like that, scribble pads, and just write down and crystallize my thoughts. So important. Planning. So let's look at planning. Now, some people get really strung up on the planning, like it's got to be really neat and very specific. You might have noticed I used a term, mud mapping. Now, mud mapping I use as a term because it means it can be messy. It doesn't have to be that specific. Although specific goals, yes, but I'm just saying it doesn't have to be that specific. So if you create a mud map or a tentative schedule, which I can share with you some tentative schedules I used to use. So after the session's finished, let me know. I have a workbook that you can go through to help you achieve your goals. Basically, what mud mapping means is you can just brain dump. You don't have to be too neat and specific. Mind you, the more neater you are, the more you crystallize your thoughts. What I'm saying, though, is don't get too strung up on how you plan it out. A few what ifs. If this happens, if that happens, else, what else will I do? What are some of the if else's? What am I going to do? And how am I going to achieve it? For example, if I was in sport and the Olympics were coming up. So I missed this Olympics, but I want to achieve the next Olympics. I've 4 years. I have to qualify for this. I have to train for that. What are the actions I need to do to prepare for that? If it was a football season, for example, well, I know I've got so many home games, so many away games. I know when the grand final's on. I know when I'm training. I know when I'm going to have a holiday when it's all finished. You start to plan a few things out. Okay? Telling people. So the reason why telling people is so important is because it commits you. So once you've written it down, planned it out, and you start telling people, this is what I'm going to do. As a silly example, let's say I'm going to climb Mount Everest. Well, all of a sudden, Every time you catch up with mates, they're going to go, so how are you going towards climbing Mount Everest? Now, it doesn't have to be climbing Mount Everest. You might say, I want to learn to surf as a bit of a healthy goal. This year, my target is to learn scuba diving. It's a healthy goal. This year, I want to do something. And then what happens is your friends will start to ask you, how are you going? You know, this year, I want to buy a house. This year, I want to buy an investment property. Now, you don't have to tell the whole world. You might just tell those people that are close to you. What is it that you want to achieve? Next year, I want to start my own business. What is it? Tell people. Tell those people close to you that are involved with you what you want to do, because then that involves them, which is the fourth. Okay, so with the fourth one, the involving is so important. Essentially, people always want to help and they want to be involved. So let them. So once you tell them, let them help you. Listen to their advice. Maybe they want to come along for the journey. Maybe if you said, I want to learn to surf, I want to learn to scuba dive, I want to ride a bike somewhere, I want to go bushwalking, they're nice, healthy ones. Someone else might want to do that with you. And all of a sudden you've got a partner. And that's when things can really start to happen. Okay? So involving other people is so important as part of your journey. I want to start a business. I want to start a business doing this. I want to start a business doing that. Well, other people are going to go, hey, that's a great idea. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? That's the benefit of involving other people in what you're doing. Just as important is action. And like I said, this is probably the most important one, action. Okay? Nothing will happen unless we make it happen, right? If it's to be, it's up to me. Action, the most important one. Like I said, the reality is most people achieve their goals in reverse order. Hey, I'm just quickly looking at the chats. I'm trying to keep up with them. I just quickly saw Joe's there and he says he does have a vision board. Hey, well done, mate. Vision boards, I think, really do work. They tick all the boxes, okay, of writing it down, having a look at it, mud mapping and doing all those sorts of things, okay? I think they're so important. Not essential, action's more essential. Let's say you wanted to lose some weight. You can write it down as much as you like. If you wanted to get fitter, you could write down that goal as much as you like. But what's going to achieve fitness is actually going out and walking or exercising, eating less, doing more. That's what will achieve the goal, even if you never wrote it down. But I do love vision boards. But action, action, action. Start. Just start. Ready or not, that's my goal. I'm going to commit and do. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to walk through is smarter goals. Now, most of you have probably heard of SMART goals. The exception to the rule is the ER. Most of you may not have heard of the ER. Now, I actually got this one from a good friend of mine from Canada. So, and I totally related to it. And I said, do you mind if I use that? And she said, absolutely, you can use that. So what's the ER? So SMART goals to start with. Okay, SMART goals is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So all goals need to have those 5 things. Okay, you've probably heard all that before. Okay, so 5 things: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So essentially, oh, hang on.
That's all right, mate. Casey's out, is she?
Yeah.
That's all right. I'll catch you later.
All right.
You guys on?
Tomorrow. It's live and real. So once again, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound. The ER, which is the most important bit, that's evaluate and reward. Okay, so the R could stand for a few things, right? So R could stand for reward, it could stand for reset, it could stand for a lot of different things, but evaluate and reward is what I was given. So basically, that was Jeanette Martin from Canada. So I said, can I use that? She said, absolutely, because it's so important. But I like to also change the R to even reset. Reset the goals. Okay, so you've achieved the goals. You get it all the way to the end with the R and reset. So evaluate and reward. Now, going back to rewards, when we talk about goals and we talked about that 5-step system, I like to have goals as action-based goals, not results-based goals. So the rewards themselves shouldn't be the goal. The reward should be the outcomes and the benefit, and definitely the reward, what we get, but it's more so, for example, at one stage of my life, I lost 20 kilos. I was working really hard and I wasn't as fit as I should have been. So, in other words, the reward was going shopping and buying new clothes, not the goal. Okay, the goal was actually to get fitter again and exercise all the time. So I wanted to exercise all the time. And that led to the weight loss, which led to the rewards of buying new clothes. Hey, and potentially living just a little bit longer, which is a pretty good goal in itself, right? I want to live a little bit longer. So smarter goals. And the last one is the rule of 100. Okay, so goals. If these are the checkpoints. So once again, if you haven't got the book, 5 Systems of Successful People, get it, read it, and learn the rule of 100. And these are the checkpoints. And the checkpoints go up and down. But we've got seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, and months. Okay, so just in a nutshell, what that means is setting goals for the first 100 seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months. And if we go 100 weeks, for example, 2-year goals. What are the 2-year goals? If we go days, 100 days, what do I need to achieve this quarter? Or what do I need to achieve in the next 100 days? Whatever that is. Hours, what's my fast start? Minutes, you see the point? Now, if you haven't got goals written down in some specific way, this is a good checkpoint system you can use with the rule of 100 to actually go and achieve those goals. And once again, like goal setting, I spoke about the Olympics, okay? There's the reverse. In other words, there's a countdown as well if you want to. So you can count down to your goals. In other words, as I go down, what do I need to do in those last bits to achieve my goal? Now, I said earlier, I don't actually have a goal of climbing Mount Everest, but let's say I had a goal of climbing Mount Everest and it was August next year. I would be able to do a countdown in preparation. Olympians, they have a countdown in preparation. If you're going to start a business and you're starting the business next year, okay, you can have a countdown in preparation towards your goals. So when it comes to that planning, okay, you can do it. You can look at what your plan is. What do I need to do today? What do I need to do this week? What do I need to do this month? What do I need to do this year to achieve my goals? I like this one. Boom. That's what I call school teacher hours. It's one of those tactics. They break things into blocks every day, just like we did at school. We break things into blocks. This hour, this hour, this hour. So I love that. Well said. But going back to here. So we use these 3 systems concurrently, right? So we've got the 5-step formula. So we write, we plan, we tell, we involve, and we act. We've got the smarter goals: specific, realistic, achievable, measurable, and time-bound with evaluate reward. And then we use the rule of 100 as our checkpoints, either to count down or count up. Can you see how successful people use those 3 simple systems to achieve their goals? The other thing about goal setting is it's alive, it's breathing, it can change, it can be fluid. You know, you can pivot, you can add more to it, you can add less. And one of the reasons why I say that having result-based goals is not as important as action-based goals, because if you have a result-based goal, but your ability is far stronger than that result, you're also limiting yourself. In other words, have action-based goal, because when you have an action-based goal, you never know just how much you can achieve. So what's the example of that? So once upon a time, I had a goal of losing weight. I said that to you. So as an example of that, I didn't know I'd be able to do a half marathon or let alone a half triathlon or anything like that. But I just had a goal of getting fitter and doing small bits of exercise. In the end, I reset those goals and I actually managed to do a half Ironman. So in other words, when I was a kid, I also thought I'd never be able to own a house. Well, not only did I end up buying a house, I ended up buying a number of houses. But that's another story. You see how you can limit yourself? Okay. So basically, when you set your action-based goals, it allows you to open up And sometimes, if not more often than not, you'll achieve them quicker than you think, and you'll achieve more of what you think you can. That's why it's so important to set action-based goals, because it's the one thing that you can actually control is the actions. Let's use an Olympian as an example. How many times have you heard an Olympian, after they won gold, talk about how they broke a leg or how they fell off a motorbike, the adversity they had to overcome? So goal setting doesn't mean things aren't going to go wrong. Adversity happens to all of us. It happens to all of us. But if you set your goals and you're determined enough, if you've committed to other people, you've told them, you involve them, there's more chance of you bouncing back from that adversity with your positive mental attitude and achieving your goals. Okay, so there's 3 nice, simple systems you can use. So the 5-step system, the SMARTER rule of 100. But what do you do every day? Or how do you actually manage that? Well, here's another little one for you that I like to think of. I'll write this one up. It's the SSK system. Now, some of you have heard of this, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. So the question you need to ask yourself whenever you're setting your goals is really simple, as these 3 things. This will help you achieve more goals than just about anything else. So what is it that I need to start doing? What do I need to start doing different? What is it? I need to start doing some things differently if it's my goal, especially if it's big enough, because where I am today is obviously not where I want to be. So where I want to be, I have to start doing some things. And chances are there's some things differently. Okay, so what do I need to start doing? Which also is the same question as what do I need to stop doing? For example, when I lost weight, I had to stop eating junk food. I wasn't that bad on junk food, but I really had to make a definite decision to start eating healthy food. Okay? Just the way it went. What do I need to stop doing, start doing? The other one is keep. Because a lot of us are already doing what we need to do. We already know what we need to do. A lot of us can keep doing what we're doing. Start, stop, and keep. What is that we need to do to achieve our goals? Okay, so and that can be, this is why when we talk about writing it down, we talk about creating a mud map, a messy plan, if you like, because you'll start to learn more about what you need to do and what you need to stop doing, what you need to keep doing to achieve your goals. You might achieve things way quicker than you thought. So in other words, you can reset. Remember we talked about SMARTER goals? I like the reset for R. So start, stop, and keep. Okay. The last one I want to talk a little bit more about in detail is we're going to go back to the mud mapping. So even though I gave you the 3 systems to use, this is how you're going to achieve them. Okay. Start, stop, and keep. The next one is your mud map. Now I'm going to give you a couple of ideas about mud mapping. So I learned this in the 90s because I mud map out my whole schedule for a half year, where I was going to be, what week. I knew exactly what I was doing every week for 6 months. Okay. I could have literally done it for a year, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So and funny thing is, even today, I'm already 2 years ahead in the calendar with where I'm going and what I'm doing. So mud mapping. So how we do that is you can create your own mud map. Someone earlier said doing hourly goals, and I used the term school teacher hours. So let me go back to a mud map now of a nice simple one for a week. So we can create a mud map of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we use school teacher hours. We all went to school. Okay. You can do AM and PM. You could do it into 4. It doesn't matter. This is your plan. This is your plan of how you want to achieve what you want to achieve. Okay. So do you remember at school, we had sport? I don't know. Some people are different, but let's say we had sport Wednesday afternoon. Well, plan that's going to be when you do whatever it is that you do. Okay. What about, we spoke about exercise earlier. If you don't prioritize your exercise, you'll probably never do it. So what you have to do is prioritize in the mornings. I'm going to do exercise. Okay. Whatever it is. You can create your own mud map. Okay. The better one I like, this is the week. I like doing things a little bit longer. Because some of those plans are they're there already. They're day-to-day things. We already know some of those. But what I like to do is the same sort of thing, but doing it over 3 months. Okay. And like I said, I used to do this for 6 months and I do it for a year as well. So if we go over 3 months, there's three, call it, it depends how you want to break it down. This is your mud map, okay? So if we break it down into like 13 weeks, which is a typical 3-month scenario. So we go 1, 2, 3. So we've got 5. Okay. There's week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then you've got 3 months basically then done as a quarter. So what do I need here? 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 Hey, and this week I'm having off. I'm going away. My school teacher hours. I can do what I like. It's my term. Okay, it's my term. But basically what we have is over here, what we need to achieve by here. So here's our goal over here. For this quarter, our goal for this quarter, our goal for this quarter. Then all of a sudden you've given yourself a plan, but it's alive. It's what's called a mud map, a tentative schedule. This is how you plan it out. Get your own scribble book out, your own notepad. I do have some of these as a template I can share with you. Just got to let me know, and I'm happy to share them with you. Okay, so that is some tentative schedules of mud mapping, because I don't want to talk about it without telling you how to do it. So if you want to, because it's your map, you can break this down into months. So for 12 months for the year, you can also break it down for the next 5 or 10 years. Simple things like, well, I want to pay off my house in the next 5 years. Well, how am I going to do that financially? How am I going to pay off my house in the next 5 or 10 years, or the next 12 months, or next year? I want to buy an investment property. Well, how are you going to do it? What are the things you need to do? What are the little targets? Okay, $1,000 a month you save, and all of a sudden you've got a deposit. Okay, that's the sort of thing. So how? Mud mapping. So once again, I actually have a workbook I can share with you. If you'd like to know more about that, just reach out to me. I'm happy to share it with you. Won't cost you anything, okay? And it'll be yours to go through, and it will have the 5-step system in there, which is write, plan, tell, involve, and action. It'll also have the rule of 100, which if you get the book, okay? And it'll also have the smarter goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound, evaluate, and rewards. It'll have all that in there. So today was just really how to have a finish in 2022 with a home run. It's mapped that thing out. I'm going to finish with just one more thing. Okay, so before I finish, I'd like to first of all say thanks everyone for coming. I know I struggle to keep up with all the chat, but there's lots of chat going on in the background. By all means, let everyone know who you are and what you do in the last couple of minutes, and network and engage with everyone else on here, because I can see from some of the names in there, which I haven't got to share many of them, I can see from some of the names in there that there's some awesome people here from around the world. But here's the one simple system and the way I used to think about things for setting goals, which is so important. In other words, how do you want to start 2023? Or how do you want to start 2024? Sounds like a long way away, but it's 60 odd weeks away is 2024. It's not many weeks. 2024 is coming really, really fast. So how do you want to start that? And then work your way backwards. So at 2024, I want to be a certain level of health, a certain level of wealth, and a certain level of wisdom. So what am I going to learn? What am I going to do to look after myself? Okay. And how am I going to set myself up? What am I going to do? And then work your way backwards. And it's the question I ask myself all the time. How do I want to start 2023? How do I want to start 2024? The reality is I've already answered those. It won't be much longer. And I'm going to be looking at how do I want to start 2025? It's not that far away. Okay? It goes like that. But once again, the reason why successful people become very goal-orientated people is because they want more of what they want and less of what they're given. So thanks everyone for coming. That's 30 minutes, almost on the dot. I really enjoyed today. I love sharing things about goal setting and achieving goals. It's the one thing I think that changed my life as a teenager when I started working for an American insurance company, because the very first thing they did with me when I turned up to the course was set some goals. And the reality is, it's all I've done all my life ever since, is go out and achieve macro goals and micro goals. So I get more of what I want and less of what I was given. So I hope you've learned some things today. I hope you wrote down lots of notes. It's been great to have you here. But more importantly, it's been so good to be a part of your team and helping you achieve your goals. So strive for healthy, wealthy, and wise, and we'll talk soon. See you, everyone.